Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, November 2nd of 2025. Now, the theme of today's video is going to be a glitch in the matrix and the very, very beautiful idea of being in the now. And this is something that we have heard for decades and centuries from every spiritual master, every guru, every mentor who talks about being in the present moment and how important it is. And this kind of has been dropping in to me the last few months pretty hardcore, and I've really been paying attention to physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually being in the present moment. So the first thing that happened at the beginning of this week, this is the little glitch in the matrix, which is kind of a fun little story, but many of you know I have a massive, big family, and I have a brother who lives in Phoenix. And on Monday evening, I got an email from him that was a response to an email that I had sent out to all of my siblings. And there was a video link of our mom, that I'd sent out and said, hey, I found this old video of Mom. I thought you would all enjoy it. Well, he said, hey, I can't open the link. It says it's expired. Will you resend it? So when I first opened his email asking for the link, I was like, okay, that's so weird. I never sent an email with a link to my mom, at least not recently. And I looked at the date, and the date was February of 2017. But this email had just dropped into his inbox just then. And so I said, this is so weird. You know, I sent this email. If you look at the date on there, it says February of 2017. It's got all my siblings and their email addresses, and there was the video link from a video of my mom from 2009, and it had indeed expired. So he immediately called me, and he's like, I didn't even notice the date. He said, but this literally dropped into my inbox just now. So we had a lovely conversation. We talked about the 3-eye Atlas comet. He didn't even know that was happening, and it was just the most interesting thing, because I believe that a lot of us really see that we, do live in a simulation. We live in a matrix. We see these glitches in reality here and there, and if we pay attention, there's a lot more of them than we might realize. And for me, it's just confirmation. It actually just made me smile. We had a good chuckle about it, and I even said, hey, that's the beautiful glitch in the matrix, and it's just proof. And he's a little more skeptical than me. He thinks I'm a tiny bit woo-woo, but that's also okay. We embrace exactly who we are for each other, and it's really, really awesome. So then let me just kind of read what I wrote, and then I wrote a little bit of a thought process about my experience, something that can motivate you to really pay attention to living in the present moment because of what we are living through right now for humanity, okay? So I wrote, walking through my day, being in the only moment that counts, which is now, on my walks, and then I wrote my step classes. And I wrote step classes because, for 40 years I taught group exercise, and the last 30 years I taught a lot of step. It was what I loved. It seemed like that was where I excelled. I had, this really fun following of people that would show up to every class. We would put on the music and dance, and I would lead them through this fun step class. But what happened is all throughout all these years, I would set up my video camera, and I have at this point lots and lots, probably 100 or so of my classes over the years. And the last few years leading up to 2020, when I stopped teaching, because the gym I was teaching at went out of business, but I took a bunch of really fun classes because I thought, first of all, I thought this would be really fun to look back on. And then sometimes I would put on my own step class and I would do it. I would work out, I would, put it on my screen. In fact, this is the room I do it in. It's got a nice wooden floor. I grab my step, I put on one of my videos, and it's actually kind of a really wonderful, hilarious thing that I do, working out to myself. But it's been really, really amazing to be in the present moment while I am doing something that I did in the past. And it actually what I've discovered, because I did a couple classes this week, and it made me realize that my body is feeling exactly like it was feeling when I was teaching. Like the one I did, I think it was Friday, was from 2017. And of course, that was almost 8 years ago, or 9 years ago. And I realized that while I am doing this workout to a class that I taught, I was feeling in the moment, in the now, I was feeling that in this present moment. Anyway, it's a little bit odd to describe, but it was a really incredible thing to experience. And I've been very much paying attention when I go on my walks. I have these long 4, 5, and 6 mile walks that I do. And the fall leaves are floating down every time. There's sometimes nice wind and it gets chilly and my nose runs. But I have started saying to myself, there's only this moment right now. And then I'll smile, I'll walk a few steps, and now, and right now. And then I just have to smile at how disconnected we become when we put something in our ear, when we just take our head down and we don't pay attention to what's happening around us. In being in the present moment, it's all we have. And we all know that time is a complete construct. We are endless, infinite beings. We are pure consciousness that goes on to infinity. And we came into this body to remember who we are and to enjoy. And I think that part of that has to be appreciating and living in the now. Because we spend so much of our time living in the past and so much of our time worrying about, stressing about the future. And it seems to be extra intense right now because of what's happening in the world, all the things that are happening. So then I wrote this: what do my moments look like if I really live in each present moment? Okay, this seems so cliche. Any and every spiritual teacher says this and has for millennia. I remember reading Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I don't know how many, I think a couple of decades that came out. I remember reading that, and I just was blown away by the whole concept. And of course, I got caught up in my busy day and my busy life and my kids and my business and all the things I was doing. And constantly, I would forget for most of the time to be in the now. But it does seem kind of cliche, but there's a reason it's talked about and spoken about by everyone, okay? All we really have is this moment. It makes me think about movies like Inception, Interstellar, and what about existing on multiple timelines or the same time, or at the same time? Because we hear that too. It's like the past me that was teaching that step class in 2017 is still there on that timeline, existing, moving along that timeline. So, there's so many things to think about and so many things to wrap your head around. And then again, what I say, bring it back to this exact present moment, where you are right now. Okay, all of this makes me realize that I need to deepen my meditation. I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I got out of this, because with the way the world is and just the energies and the frequencies and everything that we're distracted by, it's so important to get still and just be. So then what I did is I wrote kind of this little thought process. Okay, so I just want to read this to you because I think that this is something that all of us can relate to, and you can just insert the things that are other things that are relevant to you. So I call this in the middle of it all. I get it. The days are full. Kids, jobs, calls, deadlines, and errands. The lists keep coming, like waves that never stop. But somewhere in between the noise, there's this space that's quiet and alive. That's where I'm trying to live. I wake up tired sometimes, and before my feet even hit the floor, a dozen thoughts try to rush in. What needs to be done? Who needs me? What have I forgotten? What do I need to remember to do? And then, even before I get out of bed, I breathe, and I take a big, deep breath. I fill my lungs all the way to the top. And if you've ever taken a big, deep breath, you know how that feels. It feels amazing. Most of us forget to breathe. We breathe so shallow and sometimes so slow. It's like we're constantly holding our breath with the stressors that we think about, right? So then I breathe just one deep breath and I remember, this is now. This breath is the only real thing. Then while my tea steeps, I really focus on what does the air around me feel like. I feel it on my face. I feel it on my arms. I focus on the atmosphere around me. And then I listen to the hum of the fridge, the birds outside, cars going by, and sometimes a train. It's all life, and it's all part of the same rhythm. If I let myself slow down for just a moment, I can feel it. The planet is humming underneath the chaos. The energy right now is wild, high, and electric. And the more I get quiet, the more I tune in. That's how I raise my frequency, not by escaping life, but by being fully in it. When I move, take a quick stretch, I walk my 5-mile walks, I lift weights. It's not about checking a box. It's how I plug back into my body. It's how I stay present. Because when my body's awake, my mind can rest. Even when I'm working, answering messages, pushing through deadlines, I remind myself, each moment is still just this one. I can breathe in the middle of it. I can be present even in the rush. The world's speeding up. You can feel it. Energy's rising. The truth is crackling through the noise. It's like the earth herself is shifting gears. And we, as humanity, we are shifting with her. We're waking up inside this simulation, catching glimpses of what's real. And it doesn't happen on a mountaintop. It happens while you're driving to work, doing the dishes, or sending that one last email before bed. That's the window right now to remember who we are. Not machines running on schedules, not titles or roles, but consciousness, pure divine consciousness, alive in the middle of everything. When the day finally quiets down and the house goes still, I make more tea or I drink a big glass of water, and I let myself breathe again. I remind myself to breathe again. No performance, no ritual, just a few moments of truth. I let the noise fall away, and I settle into the feel of the hum of the planet. Steady, pulsing, it feels ancient. And I realize it's been here all along, even in the chaos. This is the rise, not out there, but in here. In the way I show up, the way I breathe, and the way I notice life while it's happening. I don't need to perfect peace to wake up. I just need presence right here in the middle of it all. And that is enough. That's enough. It's enough for all of us. So thank you for tuning in today, guys. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful first week of November, and a beautiful Sunday. Thanks for tuning in, and I love you tons. We'll see you next week.